Welcome to another video. Today we will see the chaos that would be if all herbivores disappeared at once. Herbivores play a fundamental role in terrestrial and aquatic ecosystems, performing several important ecological functions. Here are some of the reasons why herbivores are essential to the health and stability of ecosystems. Vegetation regulation. Herbivores consume plants, controlling excessive vegetation growth in an ecosystem. This prevents a single plant species from dominating and maintains the diversity of plant species, which is fundamental to the health of the ecosystem. Nutrient cycling. When herbivores consume plants, they break down plant matter into simpler components, which are released back into the environment through their feces. This helps in cycling essential nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus, which are required for plant growth and therefore primary production in the ecosystem. Impact on plant communities. Herbivores can influence the composition of plant communities, favoring the growth of certain species over others. This can create a diversity of habitats and ecological niches that support a wide variety of organisms. Population control. Herbivores, in turn, are prey for predators, playing a crucial role in the food chain and helping to control predator populations. Plant pruning. Herbivore feeding often involves pruning plants, which can stimulate the growth of new shoots and improve plant health, making them more resistant to disease and other threats. Influence on habitat structure. Herbivores such as elephants and rhinos can physically shape the environment by cutting down trees, creating trails, and creating waterholes, which affects habitat structure and can benefit other species. Sustaining the food chain. Herbivores form the base of food chains, providing energy for predators and maintaining the flow of energy through the ecosystem. Healthy ecosystems. When herbivores are present in appropriate numbers, they help maintain ecosystem health, preventing soil degradation and erosion, promoting plant regeneration and maintaining the natural dynamics of the environment. Herbivores play a crucial role in maintaining biodiversity, cycling nutrients, and regulating ecosystems. Their absence or excessive disturbance can have cascading detrimental effects across the environment, highlighting the importance of protecting and conserving these species and their habitats. Of course, here are some fictional reasons for the disappearance of herbivores, along with some herbivore species that would be affected. Herbivirus epidemic. A mysterious disease called herbivirus has begun to seriously affect herbivore populations around the world. This disease spreads quickly and is highly contagious among herbivorous species. As a result, several species are experiencing a sharp decline in populations, and some of them are on the brink of extinction. Affected species include African elephants, giraffes, white rhinos and African antelopes. Herbivore water pollution. An unknown, toxic substance began to be dumped into the main rivers and lakes frequented by aquatic herbivores. This pollution directly affects water quality and the availability of food for animals such as hippos and manatees. Aquatic herbivores are facing serious health problems due to constant exposure to this pollution. Extinction of food plants. A series of extreme weather events, such as prolonged droughts and hailstorms, have led to the extinction of several plant species that were vital food sources for herbivores in several regions. This has left animals such as koalas, folivorous herbivores, and giant pandas, bamboo herbivores, with a chronic lack of food. Drastic climate changes. Catastrophic climate change has caused an imbalance in herbivore migration and reproduction patterns in many ecosystems. Extreme temperatures, increasingly frequent flooding and storms have negatively affected populations of species such as zebras, which depend on predictable migration routes and seasonal water availability. Extinction of pollinators. The mysterious extinction of pollinators such as bees and butterflies has led to a drastic reduction in the availability of flowers and, by extension, a shortage of food for nectar-feeding herbivores such as hummingbirds and some herbivorous insects. Remembering that these reasons are fictitious and have no basis in reality. However, they highlight the importance of herbivores and the complex interactions that occur in ecosystems. The disappearance of herbivores would have serious consequences for biodiversity and the overall health of ecosystems around the world. When carnivores face difficulties without their usual prey, it can lead to a series of challenges and negative impacts on their survival and ecology. Here are some ways carnivores struggle without their usual prey. Hunger and malnutrition. Lack of habitual prey can lead to starvation and malnutrition in carnivores. They can lose weight and energy quickly, which weakens their immune system and makes them more susceptible to illness. Migration and displacement. Some carnivores can move to areas where prey is more abundant. This can result in conflicts with other carnivores or fierce competition for resources. Diet change. In some cases, carnivores may be forced to change their diet to include a variety of foods, including alternative prey, vegetation, and even detritus. This change in diet may not be ideal for your nutrition and health. Decreased reproduction. Lack of food can lead to decreased reproduction rates in carnivores, as females may not have enough energy to reproduce and care for their young. Human conflicts. When carnivores have difficulty finding prey, they may turn to hunting domestic animals, which often leads to conflicts with humans, resulting in retaliation and persecution. Examples of predators that rely exclusively on herbivores include lions. Lions are carnivores that feed mainly on large herbivores such as zebras, wildebeests, and antelopes. They depend exclusively on these prey for their survival. Tigers. Tigers are predators that mainly hunt deer, wild boar, and other herbivores in their natural habitat. The loss of their herbivorous prey can lead to conflicts with humans and a decline in their populations. Cheetahs. Cheetahs are known to hunt mainly gazelles and impalas in the African savannas. Lack of access to these prey can lead to survival difficulties for these speedy felines. Iberian lynx. The Iberian lynx is a predator that feeds mainly on wild rabbits in the Iberian Peninsula. The decline in the rabbit population due to disease and other factors has been a threat to the survival of this species. Competition for limited resources is a common feature in ecosystems where multiple carnivore species coexist. This is because prey is generally not abundant enough to support all carnivore populations, which leads to clashes and competition for food, territory, and reproductive partners. Here are some of the dynamics and possibilities that arise from this competition. Confrontations between carnivore species. In areas where several carnivore species share the same habitat and have similar prey, direct competition may occur. For example, in Africa, lions, hyenas, and leopards often compete for prey such as antelopes and zebras. This competition can lead to violent conflicts when one group of carnivores tries to steal another's prey. Territory sharing. Competition for territory is common among carnivores, especially when hunting areas are limited. Species such as leopards and jaguars are known for having large territories and strong territoriality, which can lead to clashes when two individuals find themselves in overlapping territories. Cannibalism among desperate carnivores. In extreme situations of food scarcity, some carnivores may resort to cannibalism, although this is relatively rare. For example, there are records of male lions killing and eating lion cubs when competition for prey is fierce and they cannot find enough food. However, cannibalism is a strategy of last resort, as killing and eating individuals of the same species can reduce genetic diversity and weaken the population as a whole. Competition for territory is common among carnivores, especially when hunting areas are limited. Species such as leopards and jaguars are known for having large territories and strong territoriality, which can lead to clashes when two individuals find themselves in overlapping territories. Cannibalism among desperate carnivores. In extreme situations of food scarcity, some carnivores may resort to cannibalism, although this is relatively rare. For example, there are records of male lions killing and eating lion cubs when competition for prey is fierce and they cannot find enough food. However, cannibalism is a strategy of last resort, as killing and eating individuals of the same species can reduce genetic diversity and weaken the population as a whole. Competition between carnivores is an important factor in regulating populations and maintaining ecological balance. In some cases, competition can lead to niche segregation, where different species specialize in specific prey or eating habits to avoid direct resource overlap. Furthermore, competition between carnivores may be a factor that influences the geographic distribution of species and their hunting strategies. It is important to remember that competition is part of the natural dynamics of ecosystems and plays a role in natural selection, promoting the survival of the fittest individuals adapted to environmental conditions. The disappearance of herbivores from an ecosystem can have a significant impact on vegetation and all interconnected elements of the environment. We will explore how this can affect vegetation, rivers, soil, and climate, presenting fictional data on changes in levels of carbon dioxide, CO2, and other greenhouse gases. Impact on vegetation. When herbivores disappear, vegetation tends to experience overgrowth as there is no longer grazing pressure to control its growth. This can lead to an uncontrolled increase in herbaceous plants and shrubs. Species that were previously kept in check by herbivores can proliferate. Impact on rivers. With vegetation overgrowth, plant roots become denser and can increase soil erosion when rivers overflow their banks. Furthermore, the amount of dead organic material from plants that enters rivers can cause eutrophication, reducing water quality and harming aquatic life. Impact on soil. Without herbivore predation, plant cover may increase and lead to less soil exposure to sunlight. This can negatively affect soil biodiversity and the decomposition of organic matter. Furthermore, the soil can become more compacted, making water infiltration difficult and increasing the risk of erosion. Impact on local climate. Increased plant overgrowth can have impacts on the local climate. Additional plants can increase evapotranspiration, leading to greater atmospheric humidity and possibly more rainfall. Additionally, increased vegetation can affect heat absorption and wind patterns in the region. Fictional greenhouse gas data. Increased plant overgrowth can influence levels of CO2 and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Let's suppose that, in a fictional scenario, the disappearance of herbivores causes a 50% increase in vegetation cover in a specific area. Before the disappearance of herbivores, average CO2 levels were 400 ppm, parts per million. After the disappearance of herbivores and the overgrowth of vegetation, average CO2 levels rose to 450 ppm. The increase in CO2 levels can contribute to global warming and climate change, since CO2 is one of the main greenhouse gases responsible for trapping heat in the atmosphere. In short, the disappearance of herbivores could trigger a series of ecosystem changes, including plant overgrowth, impacts on rivers and soil, and possibly changes in the local climate. These changes can have significant consequences for the health of the ecosystem and the quality of life of the species that depend on it. Cascade extinction is a phenomenon in which the extinction of one species triggers the extinction of other species in an ecosystem, creating a chain reaction. When herbivores disappear from an ecosystem, it can trigger a series of events that negatively affect other species, leading to cascading extinctions. Here are some ways this can happen. Plant overgrowth. As mentioned earlier, the extinction of herbivores can lead to plant overgrowth, with vegetation becoming too dense and throwing the ecosystem out of balance. This can result in the loss of habitats and food for several other species that depend on a more open environment. Competition for resources. Plant overgrowth can lead to intense competition between various plant species for sunlight, nutrients, and water. Some plant species may become dominant and exclude others, causing local extinction of some plant species. Impact on specialized herbivores. Herbivores that are specialized in consuming only certain plant species may be most affected by the extinction of their usual prey. If these specialized herbivores cannot find replacements for their diet, they could decline and eventually face extinction. Herbivore-dependent predators, predators that rely exclusively on herbivores as a food source, are also affected. If their prey disappears, these predators will face hunger and difficulty finding new food sources. Pollinators and seed dispersers. Some herbivore species play an important role as pollinators and seed dispersers. If they disappear, plants that depend on them for reproduction and seed dissemination could be harmed, which could lead to decreased plant diversity. Impact on the food chain. The extinction of herbivores affects the food chain, with consequences for higher trophic levels. Predators that depend on herbivores may see a reduction in their food availability, leading to a decline in their populations. Changes in ecological balance. Cascading extinctions can throw the entire ecosystem out of balance, creating an unstable environment in which other species may not be able to adapt quickly enough, leading to extinction. It is important to highlight that cascade extinction is a complex phenomenon and can vary depending on the specific characteristics of each ecosystem. The loss of a single species, such as herbivores, can have profound and unpredictable system-wide ramifications, highlighting the importance of conserving biodiversity and protecting key species in an ecosystem. The disappearance of herbivores from an ecosystem can have significant consequences, including vegetation overgrowth, intense competition for resources, negative impacts on dependent predators, changes in food chain dynamics, and possible effects on local climate due to increased CO2 levels. The conservation of herbivores is important to maintain biodiversity and the stability of ecosystems. Knowing all this, we saw the importance of herbivores and the chaos that the world would become. Thank you for watching us this far. If possible, leave a like, subscribe to the channel and comment which crazy story you want to see here. See you in the next video.